Hey, what's up, you amazing hackers? Hope you're all doing well today. Welcome back to the channel. Today, I'd like to read a story for you from John_0x, how I found a reflected XSS at NASA. Hello, friends. This is my very first article in the security area. Hello, John. I will post here for you some of my experiences with Bug Bounty on how I found certain security flaws in web applications, and I will be posting some research tip and suggestions. I hope you like it. Forgive me for any spelling errors, of course we will. In this article I will be explaining how I found a reflected XSS on a NASA subdomain. I received some messages from some people asking me how I did it, what the process was, etc. So I was already thinking about starting to post articles. I thought I would join the useful to the pleasant. Finding the flaw was a relatively simple process. I honestly don't like saying that because sometimes it can send the wrong message to readers. After all, for those just starting out, the idea of other professional hackers finding flaws in a simple way and him not being able to do it can be distressing and even disappointing. Which is why I like to say that the important thing is to know your process, understand the application, and think differently. It may sound cliche, but believe me, it is the best functional way possible. I generally like to look for faults more manually, but I also use some tools to automate repetitive processes that don't need my full attention, and that allows me for some more time to test other parameters. So, to do this, I created a basic script to collect NASA subdomains. It basically uses Subfinder, AMAS, find domain, CRT, and after collecting the subdomains, the script removes the duplicates and performs a new check on the subdomains found. That is a collecting collecting on top of subdomains. If you are a beginner, this may seem strange, but I will explain it to you. Generally, the tools Subfinder, FindDomain, etc. use a database of collections linked to a specific domain or subdomain. For example, Google.com, it would return test.google.com, test.one.google.com, etc. But when we use subdomain to check within these tools, it can find, for example, helloworld.test.google.com, a more in-depth subdomain hidden from a simple conventional test so that other researchers might think of. So what this researcher is basically referring to is he's going to try to check recursively for subdomains. The thing with tools like AMAS, etc., is you have your subdomain brute forcing and your subdomain enumeration. These are two very important things because a tool like AMAS will try to consolidate tools like Google, and it'll see what subdomains do I find on Google, what subdomains do I find on cert.sh. There are so many sources that can be consolidated. And on top of that, from those, it basically doesn't brute force anything. It just asks what is your list. But you can also brute force, and brute force is with a word list. And when you brute force, you can brute force recursively, meaning if you find something, to brute force on top of that again, because indeed there are sometimes subdomains on top of subdomains. So after this complete collection of subdomains, the script checks which of these hosts are active using HTTPX. I particularly like HTTPX as it allows me to do some additional checks, such as returning the page title, the status code, the technology being used, where it is being redirected, and even testing web services on other ports. This type of information is very useful for me, not just for you, my friend, as it allows me to have a general base of my target and helps me to have a guide on where to start attacking. I recommend reading their documentation and parameterizing however you prefer. What I love about this amazing hacker is that he has created a script that merges different tools in a workflow that works for him, because if you use his script, I'm sure that you're not going to be as effective as this amazing hacker. Why is that? Because it's his workflow. You need to optimize your workflow and then put a script on top of it. Now that we have the hosts that are active, I check the open ports on each of these hosts. I like to use Naboot to check the open ports, And I use the -nmap CLI parameter to be able to use nmap for some more detailed information about the services that are running, such as versioning, use of basic Lua scripts, and so on. With this information gathered, my script separates into a file the active hosts that are running web services on whatever port it is running it. So I make a crawler using both passive and active information, using in this case GAU plus or GAU, wayback URLs, Katana, ParamSpider, Linkfinder, and separate everything using TomNomNom's excellent tool GF. You can find that at the link in the description as well. With it, I can separate the endpoints by possible vulnerabilities for later testing. And finally, my script runs the nucleus using the updated templates and also some additional templates to check whether the web application has any known vulnerability and the CVE has already been registered. And so using Nuclei, we found an XSS in one of these NASA subdomains. He says that workflow is quite simple. I beg to differ, by the way. It's not simple. This is getting quite complicated. I may not seem to it like you, because that is, you use this every single day. But I can guarantee you this is quite complicated in of itself. And of course, as a good scout, just out of conscience, using the Mag tool, I took this endpoint and ran it all on all the NASA subdomains and IPs, hoping to find another web application with the same vulnerability, but without success. I reported the vulnerability, which was properly handled by the NASA security team. I hope you liked it. I'm open to suggestions or to ask questions. Call me on Twitter. You can also see that link in the description below, and I'll respond to everyone, leaving your thumbs up to help with more content like this and better content to come. Thank you so much, John. That was a really helpful article. If you have your script anywhere, I would love to see it because it does sound very interesting. Love to see how your workflow goes. If you don't want to share that, no problem, of course. But I am going to clap for this, and I hope you do the same. I'm going to leave the link to the article in the description below. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, amazing hackers.